Okay, so welcome to Big Bear Photography. I'm Mike Gumto, and today I'm excited to share my top 10 photos of this past year. Really, it's a collection of different moments ranging from landscape to bird, wildlife encounters, to even some astrophotography in there. So, some kind of a wide range of things, but all sort of outdoor related. Each image kind of has its own story, and I'm kind of excited to take you along the way and explain each image to you and get some of your thoughts on what you guys think too. So let's dive in. So the first shot that I'm going to share with you is shot number 10. It's a sunset shot. It's a sunset over Firefly Lake campground in northern Wisconsin, just north of it's north of Minocqua. It's south of Boulder Junction, so kind of in that Minocqua Boulder Junction area. Great campground. We always spend at least a week there. Family camping. I always try to get up there 2, 3, 4 times a year if I'm lucky, just to hang out. Not always the same campground, but that general area I really like to explore, do some hiking, do some wildlife photography, birding. It's great for all kinds of different outdoor opportunities. In any event, this shot was actually taken with my iPhone. So it was the iPhone 13 Pro, kind of an older iPhone to be honest. It's about 3 years old, but it works. And it, for grabbing a phone out of your pocket and just being able to take a quick picture, it can do an okay job. It's not you're not going to get like the biggest shot out of it, or the highest resolution where you're going to really be able to blow it up to like a super high quality print. But hey, I have it. It's kind of hard to maybe see here. Give me one second. Adjust something. But kind of right behind me, right about there, I do have the shot, and it is hanging on my wall. It's an 8x10. Imprinted as an 8x10, it looks great. I don't know that I want to go any bigger than an 8x10 on it, but it's a nice shot. I really liked it. It's got some great sun flare coming through. It was a perfect night. It was shot on, let's see, what night was that? It was August 6th, and it was a perfect summer night in northern Wisconsin. It was right during the golden hour as the sun was, setting and reflecting on the lake. And I did have a better camera nearby, back in my campsite. It was probably like 100 feet away. I could have went and grabbed my DSLR, but I really didn't want to do that. I was concerned because the sun was just hitting the trees just right. I figured by the time I ran and got, the DSLR, got it all set up, and took the picture, the sun would have been too far beyond the horizon. I wouldn't have caught the sun flare. The moment would have passed, basically. So it's a good reminder to always try to embrace things in the present and worry about what's in front of you at the time than going back and grabbing the perfect gear or trying to make everything perfect. Sometimes it's just not possible to do that. So really like this shot. Gives me some great memories from family camping this past year, and something to look forward to this coming year. Okay, shot number 9 is actually a moon shot. So it was the Hunter's Moon. It was back on October 18th. And the reason why I remember the exact date, it was the same night that I went out to photograph the comet. So there was a comet in the sky. It was somewhat visible at the time, but when I was doing the comet, I also had the ability to grab this really awesome moonshot, because the moon was rising right behind me as I was viewing the comet right in front of me. But this was one of the more detailed moonshots I think I've ever gotten, just with a straight capture. And it was I was just using my Canon T7i camera with my Sigma 150 to 600 lens. I had the 2-time teleconverter on it. I always kind of jokingly call that my bazooka tube. To get the best shot on that to really maximize the how close I could get. But it was a really good setup, and for whatever the reason that night, that moon was very like peach colored as it was rising through the sky, and just really the color of it really caught my eye, and I just thought, wow, this is a great opportunity to photograph the moon. So I did that. I took the best shot I could get off of it. I took several shots, and this was the one that I came out with. So just a real easy settings. 1/60th of a second. It was f13 ISO 100, and about 1920 millimeters with with factoring the crop factor and all that kind of stuff. So very nice. It's a very nice shot. So I really love how this one turned out, and that's why it's number 9 on the list. All right, shot number 8 was taken out at the Catherine Walter Wilderness area in northern Wisconsin. This is really just, in my opinion, a hidden gem out there. It's completely public land. I know that the Nature Conservancy does a good amount of management out there. In fact, we ran into some Nature Conservancy workers out there, and the really cool thing about this shot of these hooded mergansers is they actually, so the Nature Conservancy, when we ran into them, they noticed that that myself and my friend Matt had our big cameras with us, and they asked us to share our pictures with them. So we did, and they ended up featuring a couple of our shots on their Instagram account. So that was kind of cool that they actually took the time to feature us in some of their stories, and it was a really great time. So like I mentioned, I was joined by my friend Matt and also my friend Mark, and we enjoyed the hike a lot. It was a bit of a mosquito apocalypse, I'm not gonna lie. That was June 14th of this past year, so probably peak bug season in northern Wisconsin. We still, we just put on mosquito nets, and we enjoyed it nonetheless, but there was just this constant buzz of insects, and despite all that aside, we got some great photos. We had some great memories, of course. Everybody was just soaked. It was wet. June 14th, everything was still kind of wet up in northern Wisconsin, and there was a few spots where we went probably about knee-high deep in some water, maybe shin deep. It was soaked shoes, but a really, really great day, really. We had an awesome day, and that's how we kicked it off at the Catherine Walter Wilderness area. So it was really fun, really good memories. My friend Mark set up some field recording equipment out there, so I did a different YouTube video where I kind of talk about the shots that we got and kind of the overall experience out there. So check it out if you haven't. Check that YouTube video out, but in there you can just kind of hear the constant buzz of mosquitoes from his field recordings. It was really, really cool. So anyway, this is shot 8. It's some hooded mergansers, the mom with a bunch of chicks, and just a beautiful shot. Turned out really, really nice. So that one had to be on the list just because of the experience and the fact that the Nature Conservancy featured it on their Instagram account as well. It's just pretty cool stuff. For shot number 7, I have it's the Su-Chin-Shun Atlas Comet. So I try my best not to butcher the enunciation of that. Su-Chin-Shun Atlas A3 Comet that was in the sky back in October. I mentioned, when I covered the moon shot just a few shots ago, it was the Hunter's Moon. That was the night I went out on October 18th of 2024. I went out to capture specifically that comet. And when I did it, I got, some really cool... One, I got the comet, but I also had that experience with the moon, which was also really, really cool. I also witnessed a pretty cool sunset that day. I don't think I have any pictures of that sunset, but it was, I got to see the sunset, I got to see the moon rise, and the comet was also in the sky. So it was a really cool experience photographing this comet. The comet was kind of tough, I'm not going to lie, because spotting the comet with the naked eye was not easy on this particular night. A few nights before the night I shot this comet, the comet was very visible in the sky. You could see it with your naked eye very easily. I really had to let my eyes adjust pretty well to my surroundings, and then I could faintly see it with the naked eye. Where I really caught it was with my binoculars. So I got my binoculars out, I focused on that area where I thought the comet was, and also used an app on my phone to help locate it. I then found it with the binoculars, verified, yep, this is the comet I'm looking for. Looked really cool through the binoculars. I'm like, now I got to capture this thing with my camera. I was somewhat unprepared. I didn't bring my star tracker. I just had the lens. So the way I shot this was with the Canon 7Ti camera, DSLR camera, and then I had that hooked up to the Canon EF 70-200 L lens. And I didn't really know what focal length I was going to be able to shoot it at. That's a pretty hefty focal length for just taking a single shot. I ended up taking the shot, I think, at 135 millimeters. I played around with it, of course, and I got several shots, but the one that I'm sharing with you was taken at 135 millimeters on that adjustable lens. And I was able to take a 4-second exposure, and that was probably pushing it. In fact, if you kind of get close up into the details of this picture, you'll notice just a faint trailing of some of the stars. And that's unavoidable. Just using a really, really high, really zoomed in on that comet to try to pick up some more of the detail on it. And 4 seconds was about the furthest I could push it out before it seemed like it was just kind of obnoxious with the star trailing. So in either event, I was really impressed with what the camera could pick up in just 4 seconds. So it was a great, the lens combination with the camera, it worked out really, really great. It was a high ISO shot, so a lot of noise. I had to do a lot of cleanup and post on it. I ran it through Topaz. I had to run it through some heavy editing in Lightroom to make it really stand out and make it look the way it looks. But even the raw image, if you just saw that with even the high noise, it's still pretty impressive what the camera could do. So and with the modern tools available in post editing these days, I was able to kind of really denoise it and help kind of clean it up and make it look nice. So I was really impressed with the shot, and it was a really cool experience. The first time I've ever photographed a comet, so had to be on the top 10 list of the year because it was a first time in astrophotography for me. All right, so that's the comet. All right, shot number 6 on the list is a great horned owl, and if you've been paying attention to my channel at all, some of the very first videos I shared with everybody over this past year were from this great horned owl. Just some really short video clips of it in the sky, or not in the sky, in its nest. And it was a nesting great horned owl, and I went out and I observed it several times, and it was just really magical to see this whole thing unfold. Watching it, sit in the nest over the weeks. I didn't visit it a ton. I didn't want to, of course, be too obtrusive on it, but I did spend several mornings kind of observing it, probably about an hour at a time. Made sure to keep my safe distance as much as possible. I tried to get some really nice video, and I had the camera that I was using was the Canon T7i, again on that Sigma 150 to 600 millimeter lens with the 2-time converter hooked up to it, so I could stay pretty far distance away from it, and it really didn't seem to be too bothered by me when I settled in. It was definitely watching me as I approached, but as I settled in, set up my gear, and just kind of quietly watched it, it actually just kind of went back about its normal business. And many times, as you can see from the videos, it's just nodding off and falling asleep half the time, so it's completely unbothered by me, and I wasn't overly close to it at all. But it was a really cool experience, and eventually, I kind of, jokingly, I named the owl Sydney. It was kind of a bit of an inside joke, but I went and spent some time with Sydney several times, and eventually, near the end, it was April 6th of 2024, where I captured the hatching owlet. So there was a owlet that the great horned owl was actually on top of when I initially went out there, and I saw the egg. There was you can see the kind of the corner tops of the egg in the image there. There was an egg that I could see just hanging out there, but I didn't actually see the owlet. Well, as I settled in and kind of observed it for a while, eventually the little owlet popped its head out from underneath the mom owl and just made a brief appearance. The lighting was just right. I got a couple great shots of it. I actually got some video of it, so check that out. That's available on my channel as well. And it was just a really cool experience. So this shot had to be, in the top. It's kind of super cropped in, but I did really, really like it, and it had to be on the list. It was such a cool experience observing that owl for several hours really, if you added up all the time together that I spent watching it. It was definitely well worth it. It was very cool to see the whole process and seeing kind of the end result of the owlet hatch. And then I believe during the bird count that year, we did spot it in spring as a bird count. It was actually flying around, so it was kind of a cool moment to see that it appears that they at least made it through the worst hardships of that first part of getting the egg hatched and fletching of the nest. So that was very cool to see that. I'd be curious to see if that owl shows up again this coming spring. I might have to check that out. I don't know if that I'll observe it quite as intently as I observed this one, but it would be cool for sure. Shot number 5 is a Milky Way composite image. So it's a Milky Way image. I always do my Milky Ways. They're always composite images for 2 reasons. One, I have to stack the sky. So I'm going to take at least several images of the sky. They're going to be long exposures. In this case, I stacked 31 separate exposures. I think they were 30-second exposures is how I stacked them up to be. So 31 30-second exposures, and then I took one single 10-minute exposure on this for the foreground. And then what I do is I blend the sky with the foreground, and that's how I get the image. So that's how you can get a really nice foreground where it's very, vibrant, detailed, and also you get that nice detailed, vibrant sky. Just kind of 2 different things. And I don't know of a different way to do Milky Way photography. I guess you can do single shot exposures. You'll have limited success. I've done that. You definitely get some okay stuff, especially with modern cameras. You can pick up a lot of detail now with some of these newer mirrorless cameras. So I'll have to play around with that a little bit more with the new R7 body that I picked up, but we'll see. For now, this is how I go about my Milky Way images. This one I think turned out really, really awesome. And it basically was, the Milky Way arching over Big Muskellunge Lake, out near Sainer, Wisconsin, which is in the Boulder Junction area, Minocqua area. I was camping there in late fall. Actually had just kind of recovered from COVID. I had picked up COVID, unfortunately, a few days prior to leaving for that trip, but I figured, what a better, more secluded place than to go do some camping in northern Wisconsin, especially in late fall where there's barely anybody else up there camping at that point. So went up there. I did a ton of hiking. This was just a really great opportunity that I had right from the campsite to take this shot, and it turned out to be one of the best Milky Way shot I got of the year. I spent some time trying to get some other images of the Milky Way this past year, and I got a couple decent shots that I probably should share, or maybe I will share in a follow-up video in the future. But this one was kind of like the perfect culmination of everything I put into the Milky Way season this past year, because it was the last kind of composure that I took of the Milky Way season. It was late September, so really kind of the last opportunity you really could have to get the Milky Way in any great detail. So it was just the perfect way to end the Milky Way season, perfect way to recover from not so fun illness, but everything was all good on the tail end of that. So this shot alone just kind of shows you why I really like putting the time into grabbing a good Milky Way shot. You end up with a result like this, and it's very detailed. I could blow this shot up, do a really large print on a canvas or a metal print, and it would look amazing. So really, really happy with the way that this one turned out. The best Milky Way shot I've ever gotten so far, for sure, or arguably, in my opinion, the best Milky Way shot I've gotten, certainly in the top 2 or 3. So cool stuff. Okay, down to the top 4 shots now. So at shot number 4, I have this beautiful pine warbler. This pine warbler was taken at Cathedral Point. That is off of Trout Lake, also in the Boulder Junction area of northern Wisconsin. A really nice little picnic area. You can go out there, and some people like to do some shore fishing out there. I've seen people just like to hike around out there a little bit. It's a really cool place, especially on a hot summer day. You can go there and you capture, the full breeze off of Trout Lake. It's just a really awesome spot. This was taken on June 14th, 2024, so it was the same day that we explored the Catherine Wolter Wilderness area. And this was on the way back to the cabin. We stopped here just on a whim to say, oh, let's just stop at a Cathedral Point and see what's in the area for birds. There wasn't a ton of activity going on at the time. There was all kinds of black and white warblers that weekend, just everywhere. I mean, I swear, driving down the county highway roads to and from the cabin, going to various places, and you could just hear the black and white warblers with your windows down. It was just nuts. But on this particular day, we didn't have a ton of black and whites back there, but there was this pine warbler, oddly enough, in the pine trees back there. And in this case, I got some really great shots of it eating and hunting some spiders that were hanging out on the pine trees. And I got a whole series of shots of this. This was just one of my favorite ones. But there's like 4 or 5 shots that I took of this pine warbler with this spider that I just really enjoy in the series. I'll have to share some more of those as well at some point. But this one turned out really, really great. It was a great way to kind of end the field trip day out to the Catherine Walter Wilderness area. We ended up, we knew it was in the area because we're catching its call. We did one quick call with, from our phone with the Merlin app just to see if it would respond. And sure enough, it immediately jumped, one or 2 calls, it jumped down and started doing its thing, hunting spiders right in front of us. I've never had a better opportunity to capture a pine warbler. I've certainly encountered them before, but anybody who's done any birding and especially bird photography with warblers knows they are just tough buggers to capture at times. They're always moving. They're kind of the jittery of the bunch, and you have to have kind of a quick. You have to have a quick focus and a quick shutter capture to really catch them. But this particular day it worked out well. And along with having a great time at the Catherine Walter Wilderness area, this was a great way to kind of end that trip and one final stop on the way back. So very cool. Really enjoyed this pine warbler. It was great. All right, shot number 3 on the list is the Northern Lights. So this past year, we're kind of in a cycle here. If you read up on it, every 11 years or so, the sun gets to this incredibly active cycle, and you have more opportunities to see the Northern Lights further south than usual. This past year, we've had several opportunities, just even in southern Wisconsin, to capture them. This particular shot was taken not too far from my house, out in the Rush Lake area. So it's a lot more local than many of the other photos that I've shared with you. But this was a great picture, and it was actually at the Uline waterfowl production area, some federal land out there. I went out there and captured the Northern Lights out there. This was with the Canon 6D Mark II body is what I used with the Rokinon 14 millimeter lens is what I tend to do a lot of astrophotography and nightscape photography with. Same thing with that the Milky Way shot that I shared before. That was the Rokinon 14 millimeter lens that I used for that as well. But this was a really cool opportunity. I've never seen the Northern Lights have never been so vivid and strong. I've never seen this strong of a show anywhere. Southern Wisconsin, northern Wisconsin, anywhere else I've ever been. This is just really, really colorful. Greens, reds. The red was what really caught my eye, and this picture captures all the red that was in the air at the time from the Northern Lights. It was just incredibly strong. And then, I just remember I took a lot of pictures, as many as I could, while everything was going on, and we were getting strong activity from the from the Northern Lights. But as the Aurora Borealis kind of finished, I was sitting in. I have a little travel chair, you just kind of pack in your backpack, and I was sitting in the chair, just kind of soaking it all in because I had taken a lot of pictures, and I was just kind of enjoying the show at that point. And I remember I kind of leaned back and looked straight up above me. And as I did that, I could just see faint green aurora lights in the air just kind of dancing above my head, just quick flickers and flashes. It was really amazing to see. So I have never seen anything quite like that since. I know we're kind of at the peak of the sun cycle right now, so might get lucky and see some more here over the next year. But it was a great opportunity. I was really, really grateful to be able to capture that, and just everything worked out perfectly that I could go out and capture it on the night I captured it, and yeah, it was great. So number 3 on the list, and probably that one's probably going to be at the top of the list, even across all of my photos for a long time to come. It was just a great experience. Okay, so number 2 on the list is actually a more recent shot. So maybe some recency bias on this one, but I don't think so. I mean, I've looked at all the pictures for a few weeks now and just kind of mulling over where they belong on the top 10 list. But this is a barred owl that I was able to capture just a few weeks ago. It was December 13th of 2024. Captured it with the Canon R7 with the Sigma 150 to 600 millimeter lens. I was using the 1.4 times teleconverter as well, but this one just turned out really good. I went out to the Norbert Rich School Forest. It's kind of north of Omro. I believe it's managed by Winneconne School. I'm not 100% sure how that all shakes out, but it's a spot that's pretty popular on eBird. The app, if you're familiar with that. So I went out there to check it out. First time I've ever been there. Did some hiking. They have, some nice trails you can hike around on. And as I was first starting out my hike, I noticed this big bird just kind of swoop down in front of me. And right away I knew it was an owl. I've seen owls kind of swoop in front of me before in the middle of the day. The thing is, usually if you see an owl in the middle of the day, it's gone. They're like phantoms. They're there and then they're gone. Even at night, for that matter, they don't tend to stick around long if they know you're watching them. But this one, it swooped in front of me, and I knew it went up in kind of a pine tree pretty close to me, so I just kind of went off the trail, just not very far, maybe about 20 feet or so, just to kind of poke down and under some brush. And as soon as I poked up on the other side of the brush, there it was. It was sitting there on a branch, probably 40 feet in front of me, staring straight down at me. And I had just enough time to grab my camera, get it into focus, take a couple quick snaps, and just as soon as I got its picture, it was gone for the hills. So never saw it again. It took off to be fully expected. So very cool experience. It was probably the best owl shot I've ever gotten, ever, period. So very cool encounter. The fact that it was in the middle of the day and had such great light on it. I mean, you can see the iris of the barred owl's eye in the picture. It's just purely amazing the way it turned out. So that one is got to be close to the top of the list. All right, number 1 on the list. I don't know that I have a ton of comments on this one, other than this was a family photo that I took. It was one of the first pictures that I took at the beginning of 2024. So January 6, 2024, I took this picture with the Canon 6D Mark II. I believe I was using a 35 millimeter lens to capture this one. This is out at the Kohler Andre State Park near Sheboygan, Wisconsin. And this one is kind of, I really like this photo. It holds a special spot in my heart. Kohler Andre State Park is it's a location where actually I went on my first date with my wife. So the fact of getting a nice family shot out there just kind of has a lot of sentimental value to me. And that's why this one ranked so highly on my list. It's probably one of the best family shots that I've taken. And that's not, my particular forte. As you've seen from my channel, I do, wildlife, I do bird photography, I do landscapes, sunsets, all that kind of stuff. But people is not something I generally capture a lot of. But this one I really like because it's my family and just I really like the shot. So I got actually a really large metal print to hang up in our house of this particular shot because that's how fond I was of it. And it was one of the first shots I took of the year, so it's kind of fitting that it was one of the best shots that I took of the year as well. So that kind of rounds up the list for you. And that's, the top 10. So thanks again for joining me for the top 10 photos of 2024 for Big Bear Photography. Don't forget, like and subscribe if you enjoyed what you saw. Let me know in the comments what your favorite shot was, or any comments that you have at all. I was super excited to kind of put together this list and kind of make a quick recap to share with everyone out there. So again, happy New Year. It's 2025 now, so enjoy 2025. I hope everyone has some lofty goals for what they hope to accomplish, and wish everyone the best of luck out there. So here's to a happy and prosperous upcoming year.